Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the League of Europe YouTube channel for the very first round of Season 7 of Division 3. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Car Mentalist. I'll be taking you through proceedings here as per usual. And joining me in the commentary box for Division 3 this season, we have someone new alongside us. Killer Blue has moved up division into Division 1, so he can no longer commentate on Division 3, which means we have got Jess in full time. Jess, how are you doing?
I'm really excited for this season. Good evening, everybody. Sorry I wasn't here last week. I had to cover for Tin Can because Division 4 needed a streamer, but I'm here for the rest of the season, and it should be a very, very good season.
Yeah, it should be a really good season, like you say. There's a lot to talk about coming into this season as well. A lot of changes to this grid. I think almost half of this grid, if not over half of this grid, is different to what we saw last season. A lot of people have been moved up into Division 2. Some people have come down. Some people have come up from Division 4 as well. So there's going to be plenty to talk about this evening. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll just quickly run through who's going to be in what car this season. Of course, remember, some drivers are not here tonight. There will be some reserves in place. We'll go through those as and when we see them during out this stream. But in the Mercedes this season, we will have Noah J and J Luke full time. The Red Bulls will be Maverick and Cam K. The Ferraris will be Passe and Knight. RJ and Old School are in the McLaren. The Alpines will be Marty and Rex. The AlphaTauris will be Brent and Ecos Mats. XL J Cole and Luke are in the Aston Martin. Dari and Taupe are in the Williams. Reds and Bunty are in the Alfa Romeo. And rounding off the grid is Recuric and YHYY in the Haas. And Jess, we've had a bit of a discussion about, and we've written down kind of what our thoughts are going into this season. Looking at the Division 3 grid, what kind of stands out to you as something that you're really interested in?
Well, I'm very interested in the drivers that got moved up from a division from last season, because quite a lot came from Division 4. There's obviously a few reserves that came from Division 4 as well. And Maverick was very, very close to winning the Division 4 title from last season, so I really want to see how he gets to step up to Division 3, because it is a hard division compared to Division 4. Some people may find it a bit harder as well. And of course, we got Cam as well, who was third place as well, and surprisingly, he actually had a good pre-season race as well in Division 3 with a P6, I believe, as well. And I also want to see how Noah J does as well, because he joined midway through the season. He actually won the Imola race in that division last season as well with a strong performance. So I think he's going to be one of the favourites coming in to this race. And of course, we've got RJ as well that won last season's pre-season race. And there's quite a few in this grid, including Mr. J Cole, who raced here last night on the PC side. And it was quite an interesting race, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely was an interesting one, wasn't it? It was a little bit chaotic, so maybe we might see something like that here tonight. And of course, like you mentioned, RJ, the winner from this race last season, of course, won it from the very back of the field with a late safety car that played into his hands. But nonetheless, it was still a great drive from RJ, and RJ has been looking good practice-wise coming into this as well. I think me and Jess both agree he's probably the favourite, you've got to say, going into this first race of the season. But of course, there's 16 other races beyond this one. 17 race championship, of course. We'll probably run through the calendar at some point in this stream. But who would you say, looking after maybe pre-season, looking at previous seasons, what we know of the drivers so far, who would you say are probably on the face of it at the moment the front runners that we've got to look out for?
Well, for the title in general, of course, we got to look at some drivers that were very, very close last season. We got Luke as well, who was quite high last season in previous seasons as well, who will probably be high up there as well. Obviously, Noah J, what I just talked about as well. And we got the new drivers as well who have come into Division 4 and to LOE in general. And it's always very hard to start off in a new season, especially, and you don't know what you want to expect. And I was speaking tonight before the race. He's one of the new drivers into LOE, and he's expecting to be at the front straight away, but he's not expecting a championship run. But of course, we've got Marty as well, who could be up there. There's so many people that could be up for title contention. But of course, we've got to talk about I can't even say his name, Recuric, who was the highest returning driver from Division 3 last season, and he improved a lot as the race has gone on. Didn't start off as well, but started off brilliantly towards the end, and he could be, I think he's your favourite for the title, isn't he?
Rakurikis, yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, highest returning driver from last season. Had a great end to the season as well. Start of the season maybe wasn't that strong. He was finishing in around the 6th and 7th place quite commonly, but was on the podium a few times towards the end. Missed out on a couple of wins at the end of the season as well, most notably Mexico, for those of you that do remember it. So, yeah, for me, Rakurik has got to be one of the early title favourites coming into this season. But, like you said, there's so many unknowns going into the first round. And you've got to say, Imola as well as a circuit, not really representative of the rest of the calendar. This track is quite unique, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's usually recognised as a technical track. At times it has complex curves and gradients, and there's so many chicanes which people find a lot hard. Of course, you got the Tamburello when you head into turn 2, 3 and 4, where we see quite a few spinners from last season. And then straight after that, we got another chicane, Villeneuve, turns 5 and 6. And then you got up the hill towards Totu as well, where it's quite tricky to negotiate. And the chicane that I find quite difficult, Aqua Minerale, and also Variante Alta as well. So they got to nail it absolutely right, and we can absolutely tell who has practiced a lot. And there's no excuses for some of these drivers, because obviously they raced there last season, but it's been a long while since obviously went round 13, where it was where LOE played host to this track, and now. So I hope these guys will put on a show tonight and get some good laps in. But to be honest, it's a long season, so if they don't get a good result tonight, it's not the be all and end all. But if they do get a good result tonight, strong hopes for them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, like I say, strong hopes, and it's a good momentum starter, isn't it? To get a good round on the board in the very first round, it can really set you up for, yeah, a good momentum swing at the start of the championship. And Lord knows some people would like to definitely have that. Then we're loading into quali. It looks dry at the moment, a little bit overcast, but nothing too major. I'm sure we will probably get notified of some sort by the drivers if there is any sort of weather coming our way. I like to not know, really. I like to be surprised, but we'll wait and see then. And about Imola as a circuit, like you said, a very technical track. I would probably say it's more akin to somewhere like Australia, another really technical circuit as well. Difficult curbs, quite a narrow circuit as well, and not much room for error. So I would say it's most similar to Australia in that sense that we've got on this calendar. And Australia will be coming a little bit later in the season in March, and that will be back for the first time since season 5, which will be fun. Rex is the first out onto the track then. He'll take us through a lap once he comes round to the line, and we'll speak quickly about Rex, of course. We've got notes pretty much on everybody going into this one, and we'll run through them at some points. Rex, though, not the best of seasons last seasons. Did have a good run as a reserve at the very start. Went full time about 5 races in and couldn't really get a good result in the season. His best result last season, I believe, was a 4th place finish, if I'm not mistaken, at Spa. So just missing out on a podium last season. But the pre-season race for him and Kota, very, very strong. He was up the front with the likes of Sully, Hardy in Miami, and Rex with the 3 at the front and the 4 at the front, and 2 of those drivers have been moved up. So Rex, a great start to the season already in the pre-season race.
Yeah, exactly. And usually the first season is a brand new game. People are still getting used to it. And the second season, people are putting a lot of practice, I would say, are used to the game's handling as well. And I think that is what I am looking for in Rex as well. Sometimes people have better seasons because they know what goes wrong, and sometimes you have good first seasons but not strong in the second season as well. So I think Rex will take a good advantage coming into this season, knowing that he's had a strong pre-season under his belt as well. And I think he could be a strong contender, but it's not just about one race, it's about keeping it consistent throughout the whole season. And that's how people have won championships in the past here at LOE.
Yeah, it definitely is. Let's ride on board then with the Alpine man as he takes us through the first lap in the session, then through the Tamburello chicane 2, 3 and 4, just touching the sausage curbs on the inside of the second part, but getting away with it. And then down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Very easy to get it wrong, but all nice and neat. But then, as I say that, a little bit wide in the second part, and there you go. That's how easy it is to make a mistake, and he's already backed off going into Tozo. 24.8 for the first sector is way off what we will see from the best people tonight. So let's ride on board with Mats. He's gone on to a lap then in the AlphaTauri. Fair to say, absolutely dominated the D4 pre-season race on the alternate strategy. Did a brilliant job in Kota, and didn't have the best of seasons last season, but a great pre-season race for him could be a momentum swing as well, as he heads now into the Villeneuve chicane. Keeps off the curb on the left-hand side. A little bit of understeer in the second part, but gets through nice and neat, and a 24.1 for the first sector already, 7/10 faster than what Rex managed, just proving that there was a little bit of a messy first sector for the Alpine man. Then up the hill into Piratella corner, then very easy to invalidate on the right-hand side coming out of this corner, but Mats keeps it well within track limits. And now into Aqua Minerale. There are track limits here this evening. You can run wide through this corner and still get away with it. Mats has done the opposite and has spun towards the inside of the corner, which is, again, very easy to do at Aqua Minerale. He's spun the car around. He will get going again. Rex crosses the line, but of course, not a representative time. So, Mats has actually been disqualified for driving the wrong way, which is so easy to do in this game if you're not spun around quick enough. Mats is disqualified. That's him to the bottom of the grid then for the very first race of the season. That is not what he wants at all. Old School next to cross the line, a 15.2, the first lap on the board for him. Dowie goes 0.3 of a second slower, but on the medium compound tyre, interestingly. So pretty solid lap there from Dowie in the Williams. More people coming up to finish their first runs. Tope crossing the line is 16 flat, also on the medium compound tyres. He's moved down from Division 2, had a bit of a poor showing, unfortunately, in the pre-season race, so he is new to Division 3 for this evening. J. Cole splits the Williams pair, and RJ goes right in there as well, the other XL driver, on a 15.8. Old School fastest so far, but you've got to say, we're looking for times probably in and around the mid-14s for pole position.
Yeah, I'm going to say that 114s, maybe 113s if you're lucky as well. So the medium's looking very, very encouraging for the likes of Dowie, Jaco and RJ. They're just getting used to the track as well. And Tope pretty close up there as well. Luke's just come across the line in P2. The D4 runner-up looking quite good in the Red Bull. Third place right now with a 115.4. There's a few people coming across the line. We've got a Ferrari that's just crossed the line. I believe he has invalidated or was about to start his lap. I believe it's past. So nope, he's just about to start his lap and he spinned it in turn 2. So yeah, he's probably going to go to the pits on that one as well. We got a Mercedes who's coming just about to, well, he crossed the line, but he invalidated his lap, so you either go again or go into the pits. We got a Haas going into the pits as well, and then we've got, I believe, a Williams, or they're just probably going into the pits too. So most people have done their runs. Quite a lot of invalidations though.
Yeah, quite a lot of invalidations, like you say. It's fairly easy to invalidate around this track if you're too aggressive on some curbs, and of course Aqua Minerale, where we're looking at tonight, that could be one of those corners where you do invalidate. Marty coming to the end of a lap in the Alpine. Another driver that's moved up from Division 4. We'll see what he can do. Usually a qualifying merchant. Maybe needs to sort himself out a little bit in the race, but goes straight to the top at a 14.6 for a first run for Marty. That's a brilliant first run. Already 6/10 clear of the rest of the field. Wow. Brilliant opening lap for Marty.
I have to say, I wasn't expecting that from Marty at all because he finished quite lower compared to the Division 4 drivers that are in this division already. So very, very impressive. But yeah, there's some drivers in divisions in LOE in the past who've had good qualifying but had rubbish races. But they've really got to improve on that because you don't get points in qualifying, you do get points in the race. We've got one of our new drivers, Knight, who's about to start his lap then. So we'll see how he does in the Ferrari as well. I'm not really accepting any expectations for him for the first race. After the first race, I think I'll probably see some improvement from him and he could probably climb up there as well. He's the only one who's on a representative lap at the moment, as Brent, I believe, will be going in to the pits. Even though I think he's probably going again on those softs, even though you don't really want to be going on softs, old softs, for about 1 or 2 laps because they don't last quite a bit in this race, and you would rather be on fresher tyres going into the start if you're outside the top 10, obviously, and you don't really want to have a disadvantage. As Knight, as unfortunately he invalidated, so he'll be going into the pits. We've got YHYY, who had another strong pre-season in Division 4. That's why he got moved up into Division 3 for this season. I believe he was in Division 3 this last season as well. Didn't do very well, hence the reason why he was moved up for the pre-season down to Division 4, but I think I could see the momentum swinging in his favour as well, knowing that he did well in a lower division. But he can't rest on his laurels, of course, so we'll see how he does on his outlap. But yeah, still a few drivers yet to set a representative lap time. Obviously, Rex with the medium run. He's going to go again, I believe, and start his first representative lap of the session. Hopefully, he'll get into the 1/5, 16s, 15s compared to everybody else. But most people are starting to get onto their soft runs now.
Yeah, starting to transition over, like you say, onto those soft compound tyres. Rex then looking for a lap. Brent did improve on that second run. Goes into P2, just 12 thousandths off of pole position at the moment. So it's Martin and Brent at the top. Old School on his third lap on those soft compound tyres has gone third on a 14.8, but he'll be hoping to improve on a fresher set of softs, so he doesn't have to start on those older compound tyres. He's now back into the pits. Darry, another driver that's just started another run, and Rex very wide through Piratella and has invalidated that time, just in the same way we saw Knight do a couple of minutes ago. So Rex kind of leaving it a little bit late to go out on the soft compound tyres. We're nearly halfway into the session already, and we've still not seen him on the soft compound tyres as of yet. Caesar's on a lap, but he's had a slow first sector. A 24.8 is way off the pace of what we've seen from some other people. White Y is on a lap as well in the other house, but I think he might also be a little bit off the pace in the first part of the lap. Knight finishing his second run on that same set of tyres, crosses the line, goes P7, a 15.5, not a bad lap. Knight didn't really have the best of qualifyings in the pre-season race, qualified 17th, I believe, in that race, but managed to end up finishing in the top 5. So seems to be maybe the opposite of some of the drivers in the field and a little bit more of a race merchant. But P7 on the grid so far, not too bad from the Ferrari. Still waiting on times from Passe, Caesar and White Hawaii, both Hasses and the Ferrari. We're meant to be two people joining us throughout qualifying, J-Luke and TRT Bunty. They're a little bit late to the lobby. They should join during the qualifying session, and they will retire before they set a lap just to make sure that the lobby doesn't implode on itself as it usually does on this game. So just waiting to see everybody else come across the line. Darry, I think, will be next in the Williams, currently P8 on a 15.5, crosses the line, goes pole position, 14.5 this time around. Of course, his first run was on the mediums, first one on the softs now, and he's now exactly a 10th clear at the top of the field. The times are now really starting to come down.
Yeah, they are as well. The track is the most grippiest right now as well, and their second runs, they're all going to be on lower fuel modes as well as the session goes on. So most people would have probably gone on mediums to start with and then going on softs. Now, you only get 3 softs for the session, so the drivers will probably only be going for one more soft run at the end. So expect to see a bit of a lull period towards the end, unless people start on the mediums and they want to try and squeeze a little bit more of a run. I'm trying to see if Passe's still on a run. He is, I believe, as he heads towards the final few corners. Easy to run right into the gravel trap, which I found out in practice earlier on today for my race later on. But as we see, then it's a very long run to the line. He's the only driver to set a lap time, and he's now come across the line in P9. A good lap from him. Not far behind Noah J and Luke, so we should be seeing an interesting battle there. So that just leaves YY to set a representative lap time. And I believe he's on one now, or he's probably going to go into the pits. I don't know, but we'll see as he comes towards the final corner as well. A lot better than his previous run. I don't think he's invalidated, so he's going to be hard on the 126. Much better from him, 114.995. Just under a tenth shy of Old School in 7th place. Pretty good job.
Yeah, pretty good shot from Ashwai, of course, on his second lap on those tyres as well, so maybe still a little bit more pace in that time. So solid lap time on the board from White and from Pass as well. P10, Luke, the first person outside the top 10, but he is improving on his time at the moment, crosses the line, and he goes up into P5, 5 thousandths of a second faster than his Aston Martin teammate. Those two are barely separated at the moment. Great stuff from them. RJ put it on the front row recently as well. He's into the 0.5s as well on the front row. Winner, remember, from last season around this track, and a couple podiums as well beyond that last season, so he'll be looking to try and build some momentum in the early phases of this championship. Brent's just started another run in the AlphaTauri. We're still waiting to see Rex on the soft compound tyres. He's just come back into the pits, and we're well over halfway through this qualifying session now, and Rex still yet to put the soft compound tyres on, leaving it a little bit late. And we've already seen so far that around here it's fairly difficult to get a solid clean lap on the board. So yeah, leaving it to the last moment. Noah J's gone again on the same set of tyres, but I think actually no, he's backed off before we've even got the lap started. So only P10 at the moment for Noah J, maybe a bit more time in it. Old School's invalidated his next run on a fresh set of soft tyres, which is not what he needed. Remember, his best time so far is on 3-lap-old tyres, so he needs to improve if he wants to start on a fresh set of softs.
Yes, and what I found when practicing around this track myself is getting a banker lap is absolutely crucial. So Rex, I think, will need to improve. I think anyone in the 116s, I think, will look on their lap and say, right, what sector would I feel like would improve me the best, and which ones would I need to work on, and which ones do you think, it's okay. And there's a few people almost going off there, as Brent was on actually a quick lap actually, and he's going into the pit, so he's going to wait for 2 minutes before he go on his final run on the sauce. But I've seen around here as well, but people on their final laps, they just weren't able to hook it together in the previously races on this game, and the laps that they set at this point in the session was enough. So Dari could be the favourite for pole position, or we could see someone that really steps to the mark. We did see on the PC side yesterday, a few people were able to set laps at the last minute, but more commonly on PlayStation at least, there's people that their second laps are usually the best one for some of them as well. So the ones that have only set one best lap at the moment, or their lap is not up to scratch, they're going to be in a lot of pressure. But for some people, qualifying may not be what's on their mind. Usually they may gain places in the race.
Yeah, exactly. The points are won in the race, that's where it's won. So that's the more crucial thing. Night Member was 7th only a few minutes ago. He's now down to 14th as other people have started to improve. He's just started his next one. He's the only one. Well, actually, I say that Reds has just started a lap in the Alfa Romeo, new to this league as well. Raced, I think, twice last season in Division 3 as a reserve. Didn't really have the best of runs, unfortunately. I think retired from both of those races. So yet to see the best from him. Knight is 0.4 of a second up by the end of the second sector. So he's found a good amount of time in the first two sectors of this lap. Let's see if he can keep it clean through the final part. And this could put him back inside the top 10, but he's gone quite early for this second run, so it might not be able to get another run on the board. He might not be able to get back to the pits in time. Through the Ravazza of the final corner, turn 18, turn 19 actually the final corner, but it's not really a corner on this track. Crosses the line, and Knight does go P9 with a 14.9. A good improvement then from him. P9 on the grid. Bunty has just joined the lobby, which is great to see. He'll retire to make sure that the lobby doesn't break. J-Luke should shortly follow him as well. I think Dari's just started to run in the Williams as well. Look at that. Dari 3.5 tenths up by the end of the second sector. At the moment, Dari looks a little bit untouchable in this qualifying session. Reds has crossed the line to go P11. Dari will be next to cross the line. This could be a storming lap from the Williams man when he crosses the line. Let's go around the final two corners with him. Then through Ravazza. Found the final corner then. Oh, just touches the gravel on the exit and invalidates. That's a shame. He's going to dive straight into the pits and put a fresh set of soft compound tyres on if he's got another set, which I think he does. But he was 3.5 tenths up by the end of the second sector. No one else at the moment it could be close to Dari here. Dari could have an easy pole position unless RJ or Marty can do something about it.
Well, at least Dari actually got into the pits in time, but wow, Tope there came across the line in P1 and 1:14.4, so Dari, a person who we thought was going to get pole position, well, you have a new challenger, my friend, of Tope in a P1. Very, very respectable lap time from him. Can anyone stop him in the Williams car, or will that be it then? They've got one more lap to go. Most people are in the pits. We've got quite a few people on their out laps. Last season's race winner here, RJ, will need to improve a little bit, but you only need to improve by a few tenths or so. But they are on low fuel mode, don't forget, so expect the lap times to definitely ramp up as the session comes on. And well, last season's pole time was a 1:14.1, so we're not even anywhere near the times that we saw last season in terms of qualifying. So we'll see if they can get there. Obviously, it's a complete new division, of course. We've got quite a few people that were promoted to Division 2, so we may thought not something high to that extreme. 1:14.2s maybe we could expect, but we will find out very, very shortly. We've got a few people as well, as Noah J, I believe, is about to start his lap. Well, he's just started his lap going through Villeneuve now. He's got a bit of traffic in front of him as well on his out lap. Does he move out the way? Yes, he does. Going into turn 7. What I didn't see is set time, actually, but let's see if he can improve from P13 on the grid. And there's a few drivers in the pits. They need to get a move on if they want to set a final lap. Tope probably will be the last we see from him, because there's no way he's going to get out of the track in time. The others we may see again, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. Just waiting on a couple. I think one of the Ferraris coming out onto the pits now. That's Knight, who's still in the pit lane. He's cutting it very fine. Noah J's found 2 tenths by the end of the second sector. So finding a bit more time in that Mercedes. This could put him around where the likes of Old School and J-Luke are at the moment if he can nail this final sector. Then down towards the Ravazza corner. Got an Aston Martin in front. I think that is J. Cole coming to start his final run in the session. Noah J then round the final proper corner on the track up towards the line. Keeps it well within the bounds. Crosses the line then does Noah J. Comes and 13th goes up to P8. Just in between where we said he would go. 14.7, solid lap from the D4 driver from last season. Puts himself inside the top 10 then, and RJ at the moment is on a lap, but RJ hasn't found any time yet. He's actually, I think he might have actually backed off this one and might be going again on the same set of tyres. It was 8 thousandths down by the end of the second sector, and he's into the pits. RJ's given up, so the third is the best RJ can manage in this session. He's not going to be on pole position. Darius just started his final run in the session. Marty, I think, is one of the furthest along on a lap at the moment as J. Luke and Bunty rejoin the lobby. lobby. Marty then down towards the time. Rex only 12th on the grid from Rex. That is not what we were expecting to see tonight. Only 12th then from the Alpine man. A 15 flat is the best he can manage. And Marty then around the final corner will be the next person to cross the line to finish the qualifying session. Then currently 4th on the grid, he crosses the line, goes fastest, 14.3. Great lap from Marty then to the top of the timesheets in the Alpine. Can Dari respond? Dari already a 10th and a half up in the first sector and looks incredibly fast through Aqua Minerale, crosses the second sector split, and again 3.5 tenths up by that point in the lap. So Dari again flying then, last person to cross the line to start their final run I think will be Taupe, although I don't know if he'll get to the line quite in time. No, he won't. No, he doesn't get anywhere near to the time. Noah J goes for another run, goes P6. So 14.6 from him. J. Cole can't improve. He stays down in 8th position. Across the line goes Caesar. He stays where he is. Let's follow Dari to the line then. Is he going to get pole position? Yes, he is. Only just, though. Lost a bit of time in that final sector, but it's a 14.3 from Dari. White YY goes P4 in the Haas. That's a great lap from him then onto the second row. He goes. Where else is everybody going to be on the track? Camke, one of the last people to cross the line in the Red Bull. Currently only 17th on the grid, crosses the line. He can only stay 17th. Back row of the grid, unfortunately for Camke. He can't improve. His Red Bull teammate Maverick is 16th at the moment. He crosses the line, only 13th on the grid from the runner-up from D4 last season. Reds crosses the line, I think, next to cross the line he was, or someone else actually, I think that was, that just crossed the line to go towards P10. That was Passe that's just crossed the line. Then Old School will be next, only 11th on the grid at the moment, and has only found a couple of tenths, and he's into the pits. Old School's going to commit to that alternate strategy. He stays outside of the top 10. Knight will be next to cross the line. No, it won't be Luke. Luke goes P6 in the Aston Martin. Knight crosses the line, goes P10, knocks his teammate outside of the top 10. Then it's all just up to Reds, and Reds can't improve. Reds stays in 15th position. He did find time, but invalidated his run at the very end. That is it for the qualifying session. Then Brent was the last to cross the line. He goes into P5, I believe. So yeah, qualifying session over. Dari did get it in the end, but he was cutting it fine at the very end of the session, and it was maybe a little bit closer than we were expecting. Marty on the front row alongside him.
Wow, what a close qualifying from everybody. The top 4 separated by just under 2 tenths per second, but for the top 2, wow, Dari and Marty, we're going to have a very good race on the hands between the top 2. But like we said, Dari is not as strong in the race as he is in qualifying, and hopefully he could turn his Saturday performance, as obviously George Russell liked to do on a qualifying weekend last season, in the real life season at least, and turn it into a good Sunday performance as well in the race for Dari in first position. I have to say, YHYY looking good, Brent looking good as well. Quite a lot of drivers are looking good, but again, you don't get points in qualifying, you get points in the race. But usually if you're starting on pole in Imola, that is looking good for your race in the future. As I think Bunty and Joe Luke have said in the chat that they're having troubles actually selecting their car for the session. So I'm not sure they're actually going to be racing for this race due to the game. I don't know, but let's hope that they could get back in. We'll just have to wait and see. But it is Dari that's definitely looking like the favourite at the moment.
Yeah, great qualifying from Dari then. 700ths of a second a time difference at the top of the field. 2 Williams in the top 3 as well. Great start for Williams in qualifying. Dari on pole then for Marty and Taupe. White Hawaii 4th. Brent rounds off the top 5. Then it's RJ, Luke, Noah J, J. Cole and Knight that rounds off the top 10. Only 4 tenths covers the top 10 in the end. That was very close. And Passe's only 9 thousandths behind his teammate in 11th. And it's Old School, Rex, Maverick, Reds, Caesar, Camke and Matt's your qualifying order then. Matt's, of course, disqualifying himself early in the session. Camke and Caesar a little bit off the back of the field there in 16th and 17th position. But yeah, very close qualifying. 4 tenths covering the top 10 in the end. One thing to note, though, as well, of course, got to look out for this. Brent, Noah J and Luke all set their times on their second lap on that set of softs. So already going into this race, they're at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, they are, and between the softs and the mediums, they gain about 9 tenths per lap compared to each other, but the softs, they last about 13 laps, and obviously they've been on those tyres for 2 laps, and obviously the formation lap as well, so I think they're only going to last the softs for 11 laps, and they're not going to do a soft to medium strategy on that, so they'll probably have to go and resort onto the hard compounded tyres for them, which is not ideal. I tried running the hards around here, for practice, I think, for last season's race. It was very, very tricky, and I don't think the drivers want to be touching that as well. Going into the session then, it is a dry session once again, so no rain, so I think all the drivers will be very relieved that there's going to be no rain for the start of a League of Europe Division 3, which will be happening every week at 6:30, and of course there's Division 1 and Division 4 happening at the same time as well. We'll see how their races go as well, but We've got a very interesting calendar this season of lots of different races, a lot of hard races as well, and also a new track to the F1 game, which the drivers had never raced before. Jeddah will be making its LOE debut as well.
Yeah, well, let's run through that calendar actually, just so that everybody is aware of what will be coming up in the coming weeks, basically. Obviously, we're running at Imola tonight for the first round. France will be this time next week. Portugal, Austria, and Monaco make up the first 5 tracks of the calendar. They could not be more different from one another, could they? That is a very strong out type of calendar for the very start of the season. Then it's Great Britain and Saudi Arabia. We will have a break week towards the middle of April, by the way, I believe, for Easter. So just bear that one in mind. Bahrain and Australia will be the 6th and 7th races of the season. Belgium, Netherlands, Russia. There's your break week there in the middle of April for Easter. Then it's China, Hungary, Canada, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi for the season. 17 races as we have seen in the past. So yeah, going to be an exciting season. Bunty and J-Luke have got in their cars. Bunty has left the grid. J-Luke seemingly hasn't, unfortunately. Bunty's left the session. J-Luke has left the session as well. So a little bit of a problem for them, unfortunately. I mean, the problems, I think, with the Codemasters lobbies online get worse and worse as the weeks go on. There seems to be new glitches popping up here, there, and everywhere. Let's have a look then at the strategies outside of the top 10. Then the majority have gone with the medium compound tyres. Apart from Camke and Bunty, Camke and Bunty have gone for the soft compound tyres. So they've gone for something just that little bit different. So yeah, medium compound tyres, not as fast as the softs at the start, but you'll imagine the longest people go on the softs is about lap 10, like you mentioned, 10 or 11, maybe the longest they will go. They could get the mediums to the end from about lap 8, but it's cutting it very, very fine, and they will be very, very slow by the end of the race. So it's going to be interesting to see. This race, really, you've got to say, is going to be all about management.
Yeah, ERS management, I think it's going to be harder as well as tyres, because a lot of people drain their batteries in the first opening laps of this race. They're pretty much around 40% in about lap 3 and lap 4, because there's so many overtaking opportunities around here. Imola, just such a glorious track in league racing and in real life, of course. We saw Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen fighting the opening few laps as well, almost taking each other out as well. And we saw Lando Norris made his way through the field to have a very good podium result, who actually hold off Lewis Hamilton for a few laps, and and I think he overtook Charles Leclerc as well. So strong performances in real life. Obviously RJ and Noah J won in their respective divisions last season. Will we see a new winner this season? Who will kick their season 7 opener to a great start, and who will be the one that takes under pressure? I saw someone go past. Was that Bunty's AI car? Oh,
it
God.
Was, yeah.
And I think J-Luke's the same, yeah. Okay.
I think we may be having a lobby restart. This is a new glitch that's popped up in the last couple of weeks. It's a very weird one. I will say that. This is a brand new one. I've never seen anything like it before. So, yeah, these AI cars will likely just be driving around by themselves now. So, yeah, unfortunately, it looks like we may be having a lobby restart. So, a little bit of a delay, unfortunately, it looks like there's going to be to this race. So, yeah, we'll have a lot more to talk about. But the good thing is we've come prepared for this very situation, Jess. We've got plenty of stuff to talk about in the off part. So, once we get this sorted, we'll hopefully get this sorted as quickly as we can. And that means at least Bunty and J-Luke will actually be able to control their cars this time. So that will be good, at least for them, that they will be able to get in control of their cars. But while we wait for the lobby restart and everything beyond that, should we have a talk about some of the drivers and maybe what some of our predictions are for the season, Jess?
Yeah, we should. I think we talked about a few drivers already, so I probably won't mention too much as well. But let's talk about the driver that was trying to get in to the lobby, and that was J-Luke, who joined Division 3 as a reserve late last season. And he picked up a win, I believe it was in Baku, which was where he got his win as well. And one of the races where I saw him do very, very well, managed to get the tyres around 30 laps, was around Brazil, which I was not expecting him to do. So he did absolutely brilliant there, and he could be a threat for the title, where he's going to have a bit of a trouble on his hands later on today, because obviously he's going to start from the back of the grid, but you never know. We've seen people go from last to first. We've seen RJ do it, so if J-Luke wants some advice, we will see how he does there as well. And obviously we talked about Knight earlier on as well. And obviously RJ's teammate rivalry could be quite interesting as well going into the season. I remember you were talking about the Division 3 predictions in the team stream earlier on this week as well. And if you want to see the other lineups as well, make sure you check that out. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting for J Luke tonight. But he's usually a good qualifier. But it's a shame that the game's let a few people down. But we will see.
Yeah, we will definitely see, of course. So, yeah, going to be plenty to talk about this evening, at least. Good for Bunty and J-Luke. They'll be able to control their cars. And J-Luke, like you say, wanting to do that last to first. Well, he's got a great opportunity to do that now. We shall wait and see. Of course, you asked a couple of questions as well to our D3 drivers about what their plans are and what their thoughts are for the upcoming season. So why not? Let's have a think about that. So the questions you asked, Jess, of course, are their expectations, their favourite tracks on the calendar and their least favourite, and who they think their biggest rival is for the season. So should we have a run through with some of these drivers then? Do you want to kick us off, Jess, with our first driver? I think Cam was the first to answer us. So, actually, no, it was Bunty,
no, it was
I believe.
Bunty.
Never mind.
It was Bunty. Yeah, I did it in order of them answering. Yes, I'm glad I actually put these questions to the driver because I didn't think we would use it, but lo and behold, we are using it. We got a bit of delay, so there you go. First lesson in commentary, guys, preparation, because you never know what might happen. So Bunty is a new driver, like we said, and his expectations for this season is he expects to be around the midfield, fighting for podiums occasionally as well. And his favourite track is China. Well, I don't know why he likes China, because I absolutely hate China, but where is China on the calendar? That's near the end of the season, actually, the 23rd of April, so he's got a long way to wait for his the track that he likes the best. His least favourite track is Monaco, because he's on a pad. Well, I don't know how it is on a pad, but I can imagine it's very, very difficult. And his biggest rival, he said it was Old School, and quite a few people said Old School will be their biggest rival this season. And we'll talk about another driver because we're still trying to join the session. Marty was the next to ask the question, and he doesn't have any expectations because he doesn't know any of the drivers. He came from Division 4 last season. He finished 5th. I asked for one track that he likes on the calendar. He's picked 4, or 5 actually. So he likes Jeddah, Mexico, Azerbaijan, and Belgium. And I have to say, I like Belgium as well. So I can see where he comes from. Love the taste. And he absolutely hates Australia. I can see why he hates Australia. The infamous Turn 12 can catch a lot of people out, including, I think, ourselves included as well. And rivals, he doesn't know how fast they are, so you will know who his rival is when the season starts as well. So those were the first two that answered my questions. Do you want to talk us through a few more?
Yeah, let's go through a few more. Why don't we? We'll go with RJ. He'll be next, of course. RJW Videos, known on PC. XLRJ on PlayStation, so that might be a little bit confusing for some people. XLRJ did race in PC last night, so he's got a little bit of experience on this track. Of course, finished last season, I think 9th in the standings, had a win, had a couple of third place finishes beyond that as well, had a great finish towards the end of the season, did a brilliant job. His expectation for this season, I think a lot of drivers are going to be mentioning Old School, but his base expectation is to help Old School and himself win the Constructors title this season. They are one of the stronger pairings, you've probably got to say, on the grid at the moment. That is his goal, his main goal for the season. He said, though, he has some weird confidence that he could beat him if he sorts his qualifying out, so that'll be a fun little inter-team battle to watch. And yeah, well, already 1-0 at the moment to RJ in qualifying. He's up there on the grid. Old School not up there on the grid. He's 12th on the grid. I think RJ, if I remember, was 6th or 5th on the grid, if I'm not mistaken. So that's 1-0 already to him. Favourite track on the calendar for him is Russia, which I think is a little bit of a bold choice, you've got to say. A little bit of a left field choice. I don't know many people that favour Russia as their favourite circuit. But yeah, that is one of the circuits that he likes. His least favourite is Zandvoort, which is he says it's the exact opposite to Russia. It's the exact opposite to Russia. He likes the actual track in real life, but doesn't like driving it on F1. Whereas Russia, he doesn't like the track in real life, but he loves driving it on F1. A little bit weird, isn't it? But yeah, Zandvoort, not a track that he particularly likes, and he thinks his biggest rival for the championship, what a surprise, is his teammate Old School. There you go. That's his biggest rival for the season. And he said Passe as well could be up there as well for the season. That's another one he's looking out for. So yeah, quite a few predictions in there, a lot of them mentioning old school. Cam was next to finish, next to write one out, and in traditional Cam style, Cam was very short and to the point with his answers. So third, obviously in D4 last season, 1 win, 4 podiums, 162 points, a great season for him last season. His main goal is to just do well in the season, which fair play. If you do well, then you've met that target. So he'll be hoping to try and meet that. Hungary is his favourite track on the calendar, and Monaco is his least favourite. I think Monaco might be a little bit of a pattern. I wouldn't be surprised. We might see that quite a lot. Yeah. And yeah, he says that he's faster than Luco 5, and that he thinks that is going to be his title rival for the season. But Luke up there in qualifying 7th on the grid, and Cam K a little bit further down. But we know Cam is stronger at other circuits. So yeah, there is Cam's answers for you. So should we run through old school while we wait for the lobby to get the grid to get set up?
Yeah, we may as well talk about old school because he answered and he's one of people's biggest rivals, so we may as well. So he finished 10th in Division 2 last season. He got 60 points more than the other drivers to be demoted. So even though he says he's not bitter, I can tell from his answer that he's quite bitter of being moved down to Division 3, but we'll have to wait and see. His expectations for this season is quite bold, actually, to score more points than any Division 3 champion before him. Wow, that is quite bold, actually. So I think that's his goal, is to be the Division 3 champion. Well, he didn't qualify on pole for the first round this season. So, yeah, he's setting his expectations quite high here, but you never know. Favourite track on the calendar? Well, his favourite track is Bahrain. Absolutely love Bahrain, but he has to wait quite a while. It's in around about March time. It's actually not quite a while. Least favourite track? Well, it's actually the track we're racing at tonight, Imola. So at least he's got his least favourite track out of the way. Fun to drive, but not good for racing. And Yorno is his rival from Season 4. He scored 275 points there. And we'll go through Luke's. I believe we're still setting up the lobby because they have to do the custom grid. So Luke's goal is to score more points than last season, and his favourite track is Portimao. I can see why people like Portimao. Portimao is just such a lovely track on this game. I think most people say it's one of their favourite new tracks on the game. I've got to agree with them. It's one. I think it's one of my best results overall, apart from that fluke I got in Mexico. But there we go. His least favourite track is Canada. How could you? And well, he hasn't actually said a rival, but whoever he gets stuck behind in Monaco would be his rival from then on. So I think we'll have to wait for a little bit for that. So are we? I'm not sure we're getting ready to go, but just a quick reminder on the rules on Lobby Restart. Everybody, that's including everybody. It's not just inside the top 10, but outside the top 10. We'll have to start on the tyres that they set either their fastest lap on, but outside the top 10, they got to pick the tyres that they originally picked. So there we go. So if they don't pick that, as someone from D5 found out last season, they will be disqualified from the race.
Yeah, seen it a few times, haven't we? Quite a few people have done that in the past. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for that one, of course. I think only 2 people outside of the top 10 started on the soft compound tyres, if I remember. They're a little bit lower down. There we go, Cam and Bunty. We'll keep an eye on those two. If they stay on the softs, then we should be all good by the looks of things. Yeah, we'll go through the next driver. I think Maverick is the next driver on the list, of course, and a lot to talk about with Maverick, of course, from last season. He was runner-up last season in the championship, 224 points, 5 wins last season and 9 podiums. Great championship from him. Just lost it, really, at the final hurdle, unfortunately, for him. His goal at the end of the season is top 10. He'd like 3 podiums is his goal, so I think that's a fairly reachable target for Maverick, you would say. His 2 favourite tracks are Austria and Canada, so 2 completely different tracks in that sense, I would say. And he hates every other track. Bold choice there, but Canada and Budapest seem to be the main ones for him that China, and Budapest seem to be the other ones that he's not too fond of. And right now, he doesn't really know who his rival's going to be, but he'd like to be the best American. So his closest rival, you've got to say, is his teammate Cam K. So that's going to be another fun inter-team battle that we get to look out for. But luckily for us, J. Cole, thank you very much for doing this for us. Of course, our lobby host for Division 3 this season. He has set up the custom grid for us, so big thank you to him. He has got this sorted as quickly as he possibly can, and we shall get going in just a few minutes' time. Of course, his drivers will have to remember to put their setups on and everything like that as well. Rex has unfortunately left the session, so hopefully that doesn't cause too many issues. So, yeah, fingers crossed that doesn't cause too many issues for us. Otherwise, this might be another lobby restart. Hopefully not. But
hopefully not, because we got races later on.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I mean, I've got to host the next race after this for Division 2. So yeah, yeah, hopefully not. It's hopefully not too much of a delay. I think because of the delay as well, we probably won't be having any interviews after this race, sadly, because I will have to hop off after this race and get the lobby sorted for the next race in Division 2. So, yeah, no interviews tonight, but that will be the mainstay for the rest of the season after this. Of course, if there's no issues with the lobbies, of course, we'll be having interviews afterwards so that we can talk to our top 3 in the races. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that one then. So, yeah, loading in, and we'll run through quali again, of course. Dari on pole position just about in the end. But I've got to say, for me personally, maybe White the standout qualifying in that one. He's not usually known for having the best of qualifying performances. To be right up there on the second row, though, really solid qualifying from the Haas man.
Yeah, I think he likes him on a whole, so I'm not really that surprised, to be honest. But it is a very strong grid Division 3 this season, so to get a good qualifying this early on, it's a good momentum for him so far as well. So brilliant stuff from him and carrying on his momentum for pre-season. And also, obviously, we've got the likes of Marty as well, who qualified quite well in second place, obviously, from Division 4. The likes of Brent as well. And we've got quite a few people that are out of position, obviously, Matt, who got disqualified as well. And just a quick note as well, since the game wouldn't let Bunty and J-Luke pick the tyres for the race, our organiser for D3, J-Cole, has said that they could pick whatever tyre they want. So they're excluded from that rule, but everybody else, if they don't pick the tyre that they set in the formation lap, they will be DQ'd, and we will see I'll actually see right now if everybody's followed the rule. Hopefully everyone has, because we don't want people to be disqualified in the first race. So we'll get the tyres up for you, as I believe we're in the session now, if you'll let me get the tyres.
We have got a couple of disqualifications, unfortunately.
Yeah,
just got the tyres up. Yeah, Reds and Caesar. Rex as well. I think Rex possibly could get away with it. He's not in control of his car, unfortunately. He did leave the lobby before we went into that. And he will take control of his car after the race has started, just to make sure the lobby doesn't break once again. So Rex may be exempt from the rule in that sense, but unfortunately Reds and Caesar on the soft compound tyres. They were meant to start on the mediums. They've started on the softs. They will be disqualified from this race, unfortunately. So already 2 disqualifications here. Reds and Caesar then. We'll see where they finish in this race, but wherever they finish, that will not be their result. They will not score any points this evening, which is a shame to see. So already 2 people out of the running, sadly. But looking to the rest of the field then, out of position drivers, you've got to say Passe and Old School. 2 people have already been predicted by other drivers to be their title rivals for the season. They're a little bit out of position. Rex as well, you've got to say out of position based on where he was in the pre-season race. Maverick as well, runner-up last season for Division 4, only 14th on the grid. And Marty, who was in Division 4 last season, is on the front row. So a few drivers, you've got to say, with a lot to make up in this race.
Yeah, they do as well, and you get points if you finish. Obviously, if you're in the top 12, you do get points. That's the thing I like about LOE. People being rewarded for sometimes being lower down as well, and especially if people retire. If you're near like the bubble between 13th to 12th, then good possibility to score some consistent points around here as well. And obviously seen on PC last night, it's a race of attrition for some of these drivers as well. If you get through these 32 laps, I think it shouldn't be a problem at all. And I think there's a high chance here there's going to be some safety cars as well. But don't forget, the top 10, they don't have to worry about worn tyres for the start of the race, because it's a fresh lobby, so they'll be on fresh tyres for the start of the race. Same for everybody in at the top 20. Over to you.
Yeah, here we go then. Here come the lights then ahead of the drivers. It's Darian Marty on the front row. Who's going to get the best start? Lights are out and away they go. Remember, they have to turn left straight off the start, and it looks like Marty's got the better of the 2 starts here. He's pulled alongside the Williams man as they head down towards the Tamburello chicane. Can he get around the outside into turn 1? Not quite. Darius going to hold the inside line.
Out.
Wow, out before they've even got to the end of the straight, and that's a virtual safety car. One of the Ferraris missing a front wing. I think Passe missing his front wing down there. Rex has unfortunately left the session again. But Old School, before we've even got to turn 1, is out of the session. That is a disaster for Old School in the very first race of the season. Barely got 200 metres down the road, and his race is already over. Passe as well, no front wing. His race severely compromised with that damaged front wing. I'm sure surely there's some other people involved in that have got some damage to their front wing. I didn't quite see what happened, but Old School, yeah, one of the championship favours, out before we even get to turn 1.
Yeah, Old School. I didn't really see what happened as well, because I was focused on the front few guys as well. But all I saw was him flying and hitting the wall, and that was his race over before he'd begun. So that is a bit of a shame. And I'm just looking at Rex at the moment. He can't rejoin the session. I think the game picked the wrong tyres, I believe. So it's not his fault, obviously. So he said not enough people to start, according to him. So that is another retirement for him as well. So we're not doing too well in terms of that, but. We are underway again as Marty's actually got a good safety car, virtual safety car restart. Has been made towards the kink of turn 1. Now going to be heading towards turn 2. We've already got Caesar and Maverick into the pits. I wonder if they got pits from damage there as well. Marty again didn't get quite past Darry into turn 2 and 3. Past turn 4 now heading towards Villeneuve at turn 5 and 6. Very, very hard to overtake. But never say never from Marty. He's on the near the gravel trap almost, so he's lost a bit of time there as well. So he stays in P2. Also a good start from Tope as well, staying in 3rd position as well as Passe's also in the pits. So I think he got caught in damage as well. All 3 of them are on the medium compounded tyres, and I think Rex is AI. I wonder if Rex is back because he's not in AI anymore. I think he is. But I think he's going to be another one that's exempt from the disqualification rule. But obviously the stewards will look into that in the race. Obviously we won't look into that, but the stewards will. So, but there we go. But Marty almost got Darry there, but he was a little bit too uncomfortable. Maybe he would have got him if it was a DRS detection point. But obviously we have to wait till lap 3 on that one. But Tope is looking very, very good behind Marty, heading towards the start of lap 3. And he, of course, is going to be having DRS very, very soon.
Yeah, he is. What a disaster, though, for the alternate strategy runners. They're already detached from the soft running queue at the front of the field. The lead person on the alternate strategy is Mats, who, remember, disqualified himself from qualifying, is up to 12th, but 4 seconds off the queue. As here comes Tope, looking down the inside, but not quite close enough to get the move done on Marty there. But already, Marty's starting to struggle, maybe a little bit on those soft compound tyres. One man looking very fast is RJ in 5th place, really pushing around as someone's had a moment. I think that's Noah J that's had a bit of a wobble, maybe with Knight there towards the back of the field. He's dropped a couple of places coming out of Tamburello, but looks to have got away with no visible damage on our end. I think Knight as well has just about gotten away with it, so they can continue on without too much of a worry. XLRG, though, in 5th place is basically pushing YHYY through the first part of this lap. That McLaren is looking pretty racy, but of course the problem now is he's stuck right in the middle of a DRS train, and we know DRS trains to be horrible. As J-Luke out of the session, coming out of the Tosa hairpin, and that's another virtual safety car, a second one of the race. And what that is going to do is if the virtual safety car stays out for long enough, which I think it will do, is it means that DRS is not really going to be used on this lap. So again, Marty might be saved from Tope here.
Yeah, indeed. It was turn 7 where J-Luke binned it, unfortunately, and he's not had the best of starts in Division 3. Obviously, he couldn't join the session in time, and the game wouldn't let him join the racing time, hence the lobby restart. So yet another retirement to add to the books as well. And yeah, the opportunity that Tope and Marty had to overtake Darry is probably falling down by the race side at the moment. But Brent is looking very, very good for an overtake as well. And it's going to allow for the train to just grow bigger and bigger. And it allows the ones that just pitted just to close up just a tiny bit, but they have to keep to a delta. If they don't keep to a delta, then they will receive, I believe it's a drive-through for speeding under virtual safety car, which I've got quite a few times on this game. Not good, it loses you a chunk of time. And the safety car is actually the VSC, sorry, it's lasting for a bit longer than expecting. And if I was one of these drivers out here, I'll be like, come on, get this race underway. They're probably very, very impatient as they head towards Paratella, that's it. I can't even pronounce the corner names. I'm not Italian, even though I'm learning Italian at the moment, as DRS is enabled, and we're about to go green flag racing here in Imola. Finally, hopefully, we won't get any crashes as RJ is going to try and make a move into the double chicane, and he does. What a move there into the, I think it's the Variante Alta that he got the move done, and I think Brent's going to try and get the move there, and we're starting to see a chain reaction of moves being made towards the midfield runners as they head towards Riviazza then of turn 16, 17 and turn 18. YHYY trying to defend from Brent. Brent almost gone wide there with a bit of a tank slapper, but he just got past him as well. As we're seeing YHYY going into the pits, that's allowing Jaco to get P6, but he could get P5 from Brent here as they make their way towards turn 1, but ignore that, we got a fight for the lead. Marty's just got past Derry with the DRS, and Marty is now your new race leader. Brilliant stuff from him so far. His pace has been looking strong all race long so far, so it was really inevitable for the Alpine driver.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And yet again, another great virtual safety car restart. He managed to drop Taupe at that safety car restart and have a run at the other Williams. RJ needed to get that move done. YHY picked up damage somewhere in that virtual safety car period. He had a front wing change in the pit stops and he's put the hard compound tyres on. So from a great qualifying, he's now down in 14th and in no man's land. So that's going to be a long old race for him. RJ up to 4th now, Brent up to 5th with J. Cole right behind. But that has split that DRS queue up just that little bit. RJ now will desperately try and get into the DRS lane to the Williams in front. He's not far off it as Marty seems to have a good car in a straight line, but as soon as he gets anywhere into the middle part of the lap, he seems to struggle in comparison to the Williams. I think maybe a little bit less downforce on that Alpine. The Williams are looking a little bit stronger in the middle part of the lap at this point in the race. So Marty here could be under a little bit more pressure as they come out of Ravazza, but Dari didn't get the best of runs out of the corner. DRS though pretty powerful here. Onto the ERS goes Dari. XLRJ fastest lap, and look at that. Dari breezing past like Marty's not even there. Taupe could have a run as well. He's not quite going to be close enough, but nothing Marty can do. Dari absolutely breezing past down the pit straight. Fastest lap of the race. I think that was J. Cole that set the fastest lap as Reds is fighting with Luke in towards the Tamburello chicane. Luke comes out on top in that battle when Knight is just behind as well. He's re-caught this queue, trying to close in. In fact, Marty out of the race from second place. He's dropped it through the Villeneuve chicane and has hit the barrier. Doesn't look like we've got any sort of safety car coming out for that. But Marty, from a great qualifying and running at the front, has binned it in the early phases of the race. This is something he needed to iron this out from D4 last season. First race of the season in D3, it was going so well, and already he's out of the race.
I think that was my fault for causing the commentator's curse there, unfortunately. But no safety car right now, and what a shame there. So we used to bin it, though, in the Villeneuve chicane, and I did say it would be a race of attrition, and it is turning into be a race of attrition for the Division 3 guys at the moment, but hopefully it'll give people more motivation to climb up as many positions as they can. Let's see who has gained the most out of the people that binned it. Reds has gained 8 positions, so has Cam as well. Matt's from the back of the grid almost gained 8 places, but our biggest gainer, Bunty, from dead last all the way up into 11th place. So he's having the race of his life. Caesar has gained 3 places, while you will be disqualified from the race anyway. As we're seeing J. Cole going for a move into, I think, turn 2. That brilliant control move from him. But I'm sure Brent is going to try and go for the switchback past into turn 5 and 6 of Villeneuve. Well, that's where we saw Marty bin it, but these two did not bin it. But excellent stuff from J. Cole. He's up 5 places in this race, looking like he's going to chase down RJ for P3. RJ's definitely looking like he's on pace to try and catch up to the leaders at the moment. He could be the one that wins this race. We did say he's going to be one of the favourites, and he said he's not good at qualifying, but the thing that he's strongest at is the race. That's why he won from the back of the grid last season. He is showing he's made of the right stuff today as well. But don't count J. Cole out as well. Red's also out of the race. Where did he bin it? I think it was
Acca Minerale.
Acca Minerale then. And we got another VSC. The game's just not liking the safety cars. It just likes the VSCs at the moment, but that gives Dari a bit of breathing space though, because he still has a 1.2 second buffer over his teammate Taupe, and this is good for the constructors, and this is good timing for Dari actually, as he is going into the pits for his first stop. RJ's in, J. Cole's in, and so is Brad, so that is a good opportunity for people to kind of get a free pit stop, because you lose less time in the pits during VSCs or safety cars. So but will those mediums get to the end? It's going to be tight. He did say around lap 7 will be tight if they pit around them, but we've seen it being done before, but these drivers can get around 70% tyre wear, and it could cause a bit of an issue. But Dari, let's see what he could do trying to make his way through the field, and they're going to be a huge undercut advantage because they're going to lose less time than the ones that haven't pitted yet. So the ones that have stayed out, should they have gone in? I don't know, but they'll be on the more durable tyres going towards the end of the race. I don't know what I would have done. I would have stayed out personally if I was them, but obviously I'm not the strategist around it. These guys know exactly what they're doing, hopefully, so we will see. Taupe obviously stayed out because his teammate's gone in, so that is the main reason why he's still on the track, whereas the virtual safety car is finished now and DRS is activated anyway. So we are back racing once again as Passe makes the move on Maverick into towards turn 2, and he gets past him quite nicely and up to 14th.
Yeah, 14th position then for Passo, trying to work his way back through his Maverick. A big old slide there coming out of Tamburello, but just about holds on to it. Caesar had a spin a couple of laps ago as well. Is Tope going to come into the pits at the end of this lap, or is he just going to try and extend further? He's going to keep going, is Tope. So he's going for the fresher tyres at the end of the race. I think if you've stayed out, you may as well go a little bit longer and have better tyres at the end. That seems to be the best move, really, at this point in the race. Coming in now is just kind of reacting to something you were never going to be able to defend. So they're continuing on. Luke, of course, had to stay out because J. Cole came into the pits as well, so he was another one affected by his teammate. Knight didn't have his teammate in front of him, but decided to stay out anyway, so he's going to try and link on to the back of Luke and pull away. Cam K in 4th now, worked his way up nicely. He's on the soft compound tyres, started outside of the top 10 on those tyres, now up to 4th with Matt's the lead on the medium compound tyres. There's only 2 drivers left that started on the medium compound tyres that are still going on that same set of medium compound tyres. That is Matt, who disqualified himself from qualifying, and Bunty, who apparently has no setup on because he wasn't able to control his car on the formation lap. So yeah, those two having a little bit of an eventful evening so far, but they're still going, and of course they'll have the soft tyres at the end where they will be much faster than the mediums. Then Darry, our net race leader, RJ here trying to close into the DRS range of the Williams man. It's tantalisingly close. J. Cole was well trying to close in with Brent just behind. That's our net top 4 at the moment. White Hawaii, a net 5th technically because he's the next person that's pitted, but he is 13 seconds behind Brent. There are a lot of people here in completely different worlds. White Hawaii, Noah J completely out of position, Rex and Passe completely out of position, Maverick as well, Caesar as well. So many people all in and about and all over the place at the moment, you've got to say. And as it stands, the direct fight for the race win at the moment is between Darry and RJ. And RJ, winner here last season, bringing up on the form that he picked up last season. He seems to love this track, and it's showing once again. Darry, though, at the moment, a real shot, got a yellow flag. That's Maverick that's had a spin as RJ sets the fastest lap of the race. Darry, a bit of a quali merchant from last season, didn't have any really good results last season, finished well outside of the top 10 in the points, but so far looking like he's maybe solved some of those race demons. He's doing a brilliant job in the net leader this race.
I think he's learned what George Russell has done and trying to score as many points as he possibly can, to be honest. And to be honest, Tim, he was the one who was the first call to go onto the medium tyres for the virtual safety car. Everyone else around him followed him in, so he was the one who had his gut feeling and saying, right, I'm going to come in and I'm going to come in now. So, and if this pays off, then that will be the call that's secured in the win of this race. And don't forget, the pit lane loss around here is 30 seconds. Darry is already 20 seconds behind the leader. So the guys that haven't pitted yet, they're going to be miles behind the rest of the field that have pitted. So they're going to be in huge danger when they come out and go onto those medium tyres. And speaking of pitting, Tope comes in then, on it to the medium tyres most likely. Same with Luke Knight. And I'm almost certain Cam's going to follow him in. No, he's not. Cam stays out. He's going to be staying out probably for a couple more laps because he probably thinks that the soft tyres can't make it to the end of the race, so he inherits the race lead for now. Matt probably stays out because he started on the medium tyres, and so will Bunty as well. Everyone else has made their pit stop, so we'll see where Darry comes out in relation to his teammate. Obviously Darry is going to be miles ahead, same with Jacob and Brent. Yeah, the top 5 are pretty much, well, top 4 are miles ahead of the guys that are just pitted, so brilliant call from the ones that have just pitted, well, the ones that pitted a lap before everybody else.
Yeah, brilliant call, like you say, that came in. Tope now in a net P5 when he was running in second position early on in this race. So yeah, dropped 3 places under that VSC pit stop phase, and his tyres are only 3 laps younger, so he's not going to have that much of an advantage now. It'll be towards the end where we see maybe some of the drivers in front start to back off and save their tyres. That's when the likes of Tope, Luke and Knight can start to pounce on the drivers in front, but that is a long way away. There is still 21 laps to go when we cross the line in this race. Plenty of time left for anything to happen. We've already had 3 virtual safety cars and we're only 10 laps in, so there's still plenty more that can happen in this race. We're down to 16. Like Jess said, it's going to be a race of attrition. Definitely has been so far. Everybody from 11th down is completely out of position, has had something wrong happen in their race. So yeah, well out of position at the moment. One thing to look at now though, RJ has managed to get back within DRS range of Darry here. He's right on the back of the Williams man now. You would imagine though, knowing RJ, he's just going to sit behind the Williams and wait to pounce maybe a little bit later on in the race.
DRS tactics, I think RJ's thinking of right now. We see that in the pre-season race around Costa, of course. People just wanted to stay behind for the slipstream and getting the overtake done. But it is harder to overtake with DRS around this track compared to the other tracks like we saw last week. So maybe they'll be using less here. But RJ knows what he's doing around. Obviously, he raced last night around Imola on the PC side. I can't remember where he finished actually last night, but I think he finished quite well in the first race. So he's using that as momentum as Rex has just got past Passett up to 13th position, but we're now heading towards Akmerali, and we'll see if RJ is going to go for a cheeky send. He does not. You don't really want to go for too many risks around here as well. We got Bunty on older mediums. I'm almost certain Dario and RJ will want to get past Bunty ASAP, because otherwise they're going to be held up massively, and the likes of Jaco and Brent will start to catch up. Another yellow flag somewhere. That was probably Maverick that's had a bit of a spin again in past Villeneuve actually. So he's not having the races of his life. He's last out of the runners in this race so far, but as long as he's still going, he could still potentially be in the running for points, but he needs everybody else around him to have bad races, which is not going to happen. Darry gets past Bunty, luckily, so Darry will inherit P3 from Bunty. RJ's going to find it a little bit more difficult by the looks of things, because they pass into turn 4 now, and that's allowing Darry just to pull away ever so slightly as we head towards Villeneuve. Now another yellow flag. That's Jaco out of the race. Turn 3. That is again so easy to do. Are we going to see another virtual safety car, or is that it then? That actually, no, that is turn 3 and 4 that he's binned it. So another favourite for the potential race victory podium is out of the race. So we're already down to 15 drivers actually, but actually no, 14 drivers, because don't forget Caesar is disqualified. Maverick's also out as well. I think he retired. Maverick's retired in the pits, and we got a safety car.
Wow.
That's good. That's good if you haven't pitted yet.
Yeah, that could be good. Cam K, of course, that's played beautifully for Cam K. Cam K has not pitted yet. He can pit for the mediums and come in now and go to the end of the race quite comfortably. We should see the Red Bull man into the pit lane at the end of this lap.
Yeah.
We do. He is in. Mats, you've got to think, is going to come in, but he's not going to get the softs to the end. No, he stays out.
I thought he would have gone on the hards. I thought he would have gone on the hard compounder tyres, but he's just choosing to go for the gamble. But he probably feared there's going to be another safety car with the way this race is going, which I wouldn't put it past these D3 drivers. So yeah, he's probably going to hope that there is a safety car, but because of that safety car, that means Cam hasn't dropped as further than we would have thought. He's probably where he was before everyone else pitted. I think he only lost 1 position due to that. He was P6 before the likes of Daria and RJ pitted. He's now P7, so for him, that was a good pit stop.
Yeah, that's worked perfectly then. Out of the pit lane comes Bunty on a set of soft compound tyres, interestingly. That's a very interesting call from Bunty. Yeah, not quite sure on that one. Interestingly, Knight decided to pit again. Knight's come into the pit lane for a fresh set of medium compound tyres. He's going to come out just behind Passé and Rex, though. That's not played well at all for Knight to come up behind those two who haven't pitted for a fresh set of tyres themselves. That is a strange call. A strange call, you've got to say, from Passé and Rex not to pit, because those medium compound tyres have done almost the majority of this race distance. There is no... I'll be absolutely surprised, but surely there is no way Passé and Rex are getting to the end on that set of medium compound tyres. So the fact that they've not decided to pit on this lap, a little bit interesting, you've got to say, that they've not come in, because they should have another set of medium compound tyres at their disposal that they can take to the end. They've decided not to do that, so they stay out for the time being. Knight is now behind them on the track. So Knight was running up in what would have been 7th. He's now down to 11th on a set of tyres that aren't really that much older than the people he was racing earlier on. Maybe a bit of a strange call in strategy-wise from both of the Ferraris.
Yeah, it's quite hard, especially if you haven't raced around this track very much, to pick the strategy for the safety car. But you've got to be prepared for, if there's a safety car, what would you do? And you've got to know about the tyre spans as well when you go into the race. The mediums could last 17 laps. So usually when I either do a commentary or a race myself, I usually like to work out when could the softs last from until the end, when can the mediums last from until the end. So you know when there's a safety car, will it get to the end or not, or would you have to make another stop, or would it be best for you to stay out? That is what these drivers got to focus on, and I think that's what some people are counting their chickens before they hatch. As Bunty comes in, he was on the softs, now he's on the mediums, whereas he's got nothing to lose at the end of the day, because he was near the back anyway, before everyone else pitted, so, and he did when the softs weren't going to get it to the end, so that is a cheeky strategy, but it will probably work out quite well, because the mediums will get to the end there. So good stuff for there. And obviously Caesar is coming into the pits again. So what if he got damage, or is he doing the same strat, but this time on the mediums, on the hards of the mediums? Yeah, he's doing exactly the same strat as Bunty did. but he's on 2 lap older me, and so I'm guessing he used that earlier on in the race. But there we go. That's everybody, I believe, that's done their mandatory stop apart from Matt's. Yeah, Matt's in P1 is the only one that has not pitted.
Yeah, Matt's the only one that yet to pit in this race. He's taking the gamble, hoping for another safety car, and like you said, I mean, I wouldn't put anything against it at the moment. It's been hectic, to say the least. We're not even halfway through this race yet, by the way. We're still not halfway through. There is still plenty of stuff to come in this race. A lot of big names out of this race early on. Jayco out, Maverick out, Marty out, Old School out, and we're not even halfway through. That is a lot of people we expect to be at the front of the field not doing so. That is a real disaster for them. Good on Bunty, by the way, to still go in this race. Obviously now can get to the end of the race on that tyre. He's now served his mandatory stop on those softs. He can get to the end with no setup on, having not chosen the fuel or anything because he wasn't in control of his car. He's still going and is just one place outside of the points at the moment. So fair play to him for continuing on. Fair play to Caesar as well. He's had a bit of a shocker of a race, but he is still going and can get to the end as well. Wait to see what Mats does in this race then. He's going to have to hope for a safety car fairly soon, because you've got to say, with the pace that Dari and RJ have had in this race, it's likely that Mats here is just going to get swamped pretty early on after the safety car restart. Maybe not immediately, but as soon as DRS comes in, surely Mats is just going to plummet back through this field.
I think Mats is going to be swamped by everyone that has just pitted as well. I always say the top 9 will be swamping him, and he'll probably jump outside the points if he's not careful due to everyone being on fresher tyres than him. So yeah, a bit of a risk as well, because it's not going to be very long before the sauce would be the viable option by going into the pit. So yeah, maybe he's just holding on for that. I don't know, but yeah, he's going to be in danger of losing points, unfortunately, if he's not careful. But Mats is a driver who wasn't as confident going into the season after going back into Division 3, so he probably realised that everyone else has pitted around him. Maybe it would have been nice if he had a Jeff, like a real life Jeff in his ear, saying what he should do or something like that, because that helped me a lot last season. As we had Knight has had a bit of a spinneroo. He's now down into 14th place. So that's pushed Bunty and Caesar up a position. Well, I think that's pushed Bunty up a position, actually. Knight is now down into last place. That is not good for him, but he's caught up very, very quickly. So I'm seeing if the safety car is going to come in. Surely it is. Yes, it is going to come in this lap. So yeah, Matt is going to try and be the one who controls the pace from here on out. We'll see if he gets a good restart. But watch out for the next top 3 of Derry, RJ and Brent, as they're looking to try and get past a driver that has been on those medium tyres since the very beginning.
Yeah, Mats here could really help his teammate out at this point in the race as well. If he drops behind Brent, he could hold Tope up, and that could be massive for Brent's chances at a podium here as Mats. Is he going to go now through Ravazza? No, he's not gone yet. He's just gone now, just before the final Ravazza. Then Mats gets going for the safety car restart. Dari, though, has reacted brilliantly. He's all over the back of Mats coming up towards the Tamburello chicane. Can he get a run? We've had White Show Wise spin at the back of the field at the restart. He's dropped the car coming out of Ravazza. Dari already trying to go for the move around the outside of Tamburello. Is going to have to be really late on the brakes. Around the outside, a little bit of contact. He bounces over the curbs. Somehow they both get away with it. RJ now trying to make his way through as well. Fair play to Dari. That was a bold move around the outside. It was risky, and somehow he made it work. Mats as well. Fair play to him to holding on to the car in that wheel-to-wheel contact. They both got away with it. Dari into the lead. RJ through. Brent through as well now. Mats already down to 4th position. That was a risk that Dari maybe didn't need to take, but somehow it paid off. Brilliant move there from the Williams man. But now RJ is right back on the rear wing of that Williams once again. And RJ, again, looking really racy here as he come throughout Caminarale. Is he going to think about a run on the pit straight next time around? Camke with the time penalty now in P7. That's not going to help his cause on those fresher tyres. RJ, though, here looking really racy at this restart.
Yeah, he is. I have to say, he's definitely going to be the favourite to win this race, as we said earlier as well. We got a quality merchant versus an Imola merchant battling for the lead of this race as we're going with Riazza into the final few corners there. No DRS yet until lap 19, so they're going to rely on the slipstream at the moment. They saved a bit of DRS in that safety car as well, so that will allow RJ just to close up just a little bit as they head towards the kink of turn 1, but I don't think RJ could be close enough, but you never know. Dari was a bit bold last lap, to go for the move, but RJ decided not to go bold as Tope gets past Max as well, up into 4th place. I have to say, fair play to Max for trying to hold everybody else up behind him for as long as he did. I thought Max was going to be swamped even before the end of the first safety car lap, but he's still in 5th place, so fair play to him at the moment, but that's not going to help everybody else around him, as well as Knights that also got a 3-second time penalty as well. Penalty's not as common around here, but during safety car restarts, if you have a penalty, that could pretty much ruin your race if you want to get some points. And if you do not have a penalty, it could help you in any way, shape or form. RJ's looking brilliant, set up for a move into the next chicane coming up very soon. We saw him going for a bold move earlier on in the race in this set of chicane, which he did not do here as well. Maybe he's just waiting for the DRS, I reckon, to open up for him to go for the move. Or maybe he could try and go for a move here, potentially. He's got the straight line speed compared to Darry at the moment, but unfortunately couldn't quite get it done, unfortunately. So we're shaping in to have a final end to this race. Don't tune out of this race. Grab your popcorn. It's going to be very exciting, and DRS is enabled, but no detection point as of yet. Matt finally comes into the pit. I believe it will be for the soft compounded tyres. Is RJ going to hang on and go for the move? He does not. I'm trying to remember what the DRS points are around this track, actually. Let me have a look if I scroll down. I believe there's only one towards the final corner. So, yeah, quite hard to go for moves around here. But never say never for RJ. We think we saw Caesar go for a move on Bunty. He's up into 10th place already. So, brilliant stuff. And I believe that's a Matt's out. Yep, it is for the soft compounded tyre. That is a bit early for Matt's there to go on the softs. I doubt that's going to get to the end from here. But we'll see. I thought about on lap 20, lap 21 he would have pitted, but he didn't want to lose that enough time. He's already 20 seconds down on the next car, which is Knight. So, yeah, he's well out of the points at this stage.
Yeah, really bizarre call there, you've got to say, for Mats to pit now, because we're only 2 laps after the safety car, and he's come in and lost so much time when he was running in a net top 10 position. RJ, though, by the way, look at how close he is to the back of the Williams of Darry. He is crawling all over the back of Darry here as he comes through Ravazza. Surely this is going to be an easy move for RJ down the pit straight. If he decides to go for it, of course, he could sit behind. His only worry is, of course, Brent and Tope are right there behind him as well. RJ on board with him now, down towards the Tamburello chicane. Easy move for RJ. Down the inside he goes. RJ takes the lead of the race. Then it's been Darry leading the race the majority of the way. RJ now takes the lead for the first time in this race. Darry down to second. Can Darry cling on to the back of that McLaren, who's looked so fast in this race? Or can RJ pull away and cause Darry to drop into the clutches of Brent? Tope's right back in there as well. Luke in 5th. The top 5 have broken away from Kanke, who still runs in 6th. Passe on 17 lap old medium compound tyres is in 7th, and he's still got 13 laps to do on those tyres. That is going to be bold if he can get to the end. He's got Noah J on fresh tyres right behind him as well. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough order for Passe to get to the end of the race. I think Knight, by the way, has some sort of front wing damage after that spin that he had under that safety car period, because he is dropping like a stone at the back of the field when he was running comfortably inside the top 10 early on. So, a real disaster it's been for Knight ever since that second pit stop underneath the safety car. A pit stop you could say wasn't really necessary. RJ hasn't quite broken DRS to Darry down towards the Ravazzas, but what he has done is given himself enough of a buffer where Darry's not going to be able to challenge. Tope, though, in 4th, looking really racy in that second Williams, all over the back of Brent here, maybe trying to think about a move if he's got a fast enough car in a straight line. He's using up his DRS, he's running onto the back of Brent here, he's got a good run. Can he get past Brent despite Brent also having the DRS down the straight? Tope's going to go around the outside of Brent. Is he in towards the first corner? Yes, he is. Brent smartly backs out of that one. Lovely move from Tope. He's up to 3rd position, back on the podium.
Yeah, I have to say, Williams looking very, very brilliant for the constructors right now. If it was to end only at one race, but obviously we got a very long season. But it's good for Darry to have a teammate to back him up at this moment in time. So, to be honest, that's not going to help people that have got only one car fighting in the points, because most of the other cars have retired. We have an Aston Martin that's retired, so it's a Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Mercedes and a McLaren, and I think we only got 4 teams that have 2 cars running in this race. As Knight goes into the pits once again, he goes on to the softs too. Bunty just pitted as well. So yeah, that is everybody that has made their mandatory stops at the moment. But we got a question Passe's strategy, because I doubt those tyres are going to get to the end. They're already going to be past their sell-by date. They're pretty much past their sell-by date now. But don't forget, we were in the safety car, so I would say around 20 laps, I would say, and then the mediums will probably just be dead. So Passe will be going on to the soft shortly as well. Dari still on the clutches of RJ at the moment. So RJ is not able to pull away just a little bit. But this is what we like to see. Titans versus Titans going for the lead as well. But maybe Darius got something saved on his sleeve towards the end of the race, like we've seen in a few races last season in Division 3. And I wonder if his teammate will help him out here as well.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. I wonder if Topi is going to... Does he think about his own personal things? Does he want to try and beat Dario on this track, or is he just going to hold Brent and Luke up and make sure they secure a double podium? Be a great start to the championship as Bunty picks up a time penalty. Be a great start to the manufacturers for Williams here. Like you mentioned, they are clearly the best team on the track at the moment with 2 cars on the podium. Cam K struggling at the moment in 6th position. Cam K now being caught by his fellow D4 driver from last season, Noah J. Noah J passed Passe a couple of laps ago. He's now in clean air on the same tyres as Cam K, but doesn't have a penalty. So a good recovery at the moment from Noah J, having got damage very early on in the race. And as I say that, he gets a penalty himself. I do like to commentate as Kirsten. So it's now a straight fight on track between the two of them. So now Noah J is going to have to pass Cam K on track if he wants that position. Crucially though, this lap around, Dari's lost DRS to RJ. RJ has broken DRS, and interestingly, Dari's broken DRS to his teammate as well. So Tope is now back under threat from Brent. Brent, I don't think it's going to be close enough down this straight to have a run, and he's got no ERS in comparison. But it's starting to spread out a little bit at the front of the field. RJ's got that gap now up to Dari, and now that he's not got the DRS to help him pull him back towards the McLaren, surely now RJ's just going to drive off into the distance.
Yeah, I think as well, but never saying that, but there could be a last-minute safety car that could change everything. So RJ just got to push now, right? And I wonder if Dari has regretted not going for that move a few laps ago. So I think he's probably going to try and push now, but he is running low on ERS compared to the likes of RJ. Actually, they're pretty much on the same ERS. Tope has the best ERS out of everybody at the moment. Apologies if I get the names wrong, by the way. I probably will get the names right by the end of the season, as we're seeing more time penalties from everybody. Knight set the fastest lap of the race, but I believe what is the fastest lap point? You don't get fastest lap points in LOE, do you? No, you don't. Okay.
You will get the fastest lap point, but currently Knight is not in the points. The top 12 are at the point scorers at the moment.
Top 12 only get a Okay, so it's if you're in the top 12 and you get the fastest lap, you get an extra point. Okay. That makes a lot more sense, because sometimes it's top 10. I don't know. But anyway, 1.1 is... Oh, Brent's into the pit lane.
Wow, that's a bizarre call. That is a really bizarre call from Brent. The AlphaTauri strategies here tonight have been very confusing. You've got to say Passe into the pits, that's more understandable. No way in chance he was getting those mediums to the end of this race. But Brent, a pit stop for a fresh set of soft compound tyres. I mean, he'll have a run at the fastest lap, but that is a top 5 gone, surely. Unless there's a late safety car for Brent, that is a solid top 5 finish out of the window completely there.
Yeah, I'm a bit curious as to why a few people have pitted now. Obviously, Passe had to, because his tyres was no way going to get to the end. So he's going to try and make sure that he could get past... He's got to try and get past Brent and Max, which is going to be difficult. But I don't know. Does that give RJ and Dari a bit of worry and doubt on whether their tyres are going to get to the end? Because we did question, didn't we, before the VSC, I believe. Did they go into the pits too early? Did the mediums weren't going to get to the end? The safety car did help them prolong their medium stint, so they're going to last 21 laps. But that's going to give the ones who pitted a bit later some hope. That could give Matt a bit of hope as well. But he's 16.2 seconds behind the nearest car. So, but he's still in the points, and he's got no penalties. So if there is another safety car, this could play well into his hands. And if there is another safety car, Brent and Passe could be in it as well. So don't count out everybody else. And it only takes 2 more retirements for everybody in this race to score points. So YHYY and Knight will need to work hard if they want to get into the points. But looking at penalties, Knight and Bunty have got 6 seconds. Everyone else has got penalties, which is Rex, Cam, Noah and Caesar. They've got 3 seconds. Nobody else has got any penalties, which are running in this field at the moment. Daria just closing it ever so slightly by a few tenths per second to RJ. Not quite within the DRS, but they still got a few corners to make before they reach the final corner anyway. So plenty of time to get to the detection point, but still it's going to be very, very tight indeed. But one thing we've got to watch out for is Luke for that final podium spot. He's 5 tenths behind Tope in P3 and could be under huge threat to take the P3 from him, as we're seeing another penalty from Noah J. He's on 6 seconds, so that's good news for Caesar. As long as he stays within under that 3-second bubble, Caesar could get P6 off Noah J in this race, and that's good news for Cam. He has one less card to worry about, unless Noah J could just close in just a tiny bit. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. But yeah, we've still got plenty of laps to go in this race, and I literally don't know who's going to get the final spot. I think I'm almost certain who's going to get P1, but never say never. But we don't know who's going to get P2, and we don't know who's going to get P3.
Yeah, of course. It's all up in the air at the moment, isn't it? And Tope is just getting that little bit closer to Dari now in that battle for second place. So Tope is there. If he wants to have a run at his teammate at the end, he can. He's not out of the question yet. I think Camke as well is going to be very happy with this race. It's been a solid recovery from him after a not so great first stint. Caesar as well. Remember, Caesar was running last in this race before the safety car came out. And during the safety car, he now runs 7th. He's gone halfway through the field after the safety car restart. So just goes to show that you should never give up on a race. He's now up into 7th position and looking like that's the worst that he's going to get in this race. So if there's not another safety car, no way the two Alpha Tauris are going to catch Caesar in time by the end of this race. So great recovery from him. Brent has managed to pass Mats, by the way, on that past lap. So Brent now back up into 8th place, but still, that is not the top 5 that he could have really got in this race. That is a very bizarre strategy call from both of the Alpha Tauris to pit so late in a race as well, even without the safety car coming out. And especially around Imola, with a pit lane loss here, like you mentioned earlier on, it's close to half a minute. It's probably one of the worst tracks to try a 2-stop strategy because the pit lane is just so long. Tope now on the back of his teammate. Is he going to go for a run this time around? Yes, he is, going to the inside line for the Tamburello chicane. Tope down the inside of Dari. Tope then up into second place. Remember, Tope does have fresher tyres than Dari and RJ. Is Tope the man to try and chase down RJ and take the win off of the McLaren? Does Tope have enough tyre life left in those tyres to not have to worry about nursing them to the end? Can he chase after RJ? Has RJ got enough in his back pocket to try and hold off? But you've got to say, over the last few laps or so, Tope has looked easily the faster of the two Williams.
Yeah, he does. Don't forget, because of his teammate pitting in the VSC, he was pretty much forced to stay out on the soft tyres and pit quite late onto the mediums, but maybe that was the call that kind of helped him in a way because of that safety car earlier. So this is good news, and he's got to try and get in 5/10 of RJ and he'll be winning the DRS. So we're in for like 3 or 4 cars in short of the win today. This is absolutely insane because we got a 4-car fight for the lead, and we got a midfield fight as well for the mediums, and then we got a soft fight as well. Yellow flag, as this race could get any worse, as Bunty is down to P13. What a shame for him, as he was in at the points, and I think that's why to almost get him, but he didn't. And now Knight is in the points at the moment, but don't forget there's still penalties as well, and I think Caesar will get disqualified, don't forget, because he started on the wrong tyre, so that will potentially move a few people up, as Cam has been dropped position by his D4 rival from last season, Noah J. Noah J's up to 5th.
Yeah, good stuff there for Noah J, but remember he does have one more penalty than Camke, so Camke, if he can keep it clean and just stick to the back of the Mercedes man, will be into 5th position in this race at the very end, which is a solid debut result in this championship for Camke, and he will be the highest of the drivers returning, coming up from D4 into this race. He'll be the highest of those drivers, so that is a good accolade to have after the first round at Imola. It's been a real race of attrition. Passe now with a time penalty, but that's not really going to affect his race. He is 5 seconds behind the car in front and 5 seconds clear of the car behind, so he's not really got any threat as Whitechawai passes Bunty for 13th on the road. That's not really much though in this race. They are well out of position. There's a yellow flag in the middle sector. I think Caesar has just had a bit of a moment throughout Caminarale, but it seems like he's gotten away with it. But what that has done is dropped him out of penalty range, possibly, or could drop him out of penalty range to Noah J. So he's just got to make sure that he can try and keep in. Of course, he might be disqualified from this race. We'll wait and see. We never know. Something might have happened to him at the start of the race that was out of his control. We will keep an eye on that. Back to the lead of the race. There's 4 laps to go in this race. It's been a long old night so far for Division 3. It's been a long old race. It's been a race of attrition. RJ still leads, and since Tope's passed Dari, Tope can't make any inroads at all at the moment, and Dari is now crawling all over the back of his teammate once again. So Tope's had a go. You've got to say it's not worked out, and it's all now up to Dari to repass his teammate for second place.
Yeah, I thought he was going to close into RJ for a second there, but unfortunately I think Dari is the faster teammate despite being on the older tyres, which I'm a bit worried about getting to the end, to be honest. But we only have a few laps to go. Anything can happen in Division 3, and it usually does. And we're starting to see, I think, Luke close in on those Williams drivers as well. So if Luke gets past Dowie, then Tope must be very, very worried going into the final few laps that Luke could get past, because he's another driver on 0 penalties this race. He's had a very good race. Like I said, another driver that I said in my thoughts going into this season to watch out for in this Imola race, as he was one of the high scorers in I think in last season in his division. So we'll see how that plays out for him as he's past the final corner as well. DRS will be activated, and Dowie's got the DRS as well from his teammate. That might help him a little bit, but it's not going to help him right now though, as Luke tries to get past turn 1. They stay side by side as they head towards turn 2, as we do have a spinner of, I believe it's Bunty once again, as Dowie just about holds on to P3 there from Luke, and I think Tope just helped a little bit more. But the question is, what will Tope do in this situation? Will he let his teammate through? It's too early for the season to call for team orders. Or will the team bosses at Williams fight for it and say you're allowed to race each other in this race? But if you fight too much, it will allow the likes of Luke to try and get past as well. We've got this lap, we've got the next lap, and we've got the lap after. So we pretty much got 2.5 laps to go of this race. And all this is just allowing RJ to close the gap increase the gap even more. 2.1, 2.4 as Dowie and Tope going side by side. It was almost going to be 3 abreast going into that chicane now as well. That would have been awful, but Dowie eventually did what he needed to do. Dowie gets past Tope, and Dowie is up into second place, and he's now got to try and get rid of that deficit and try and get into the lead of this race. But it's going to be quite hard because he doesn't have long to do it. I think Tope is struggling because Luke is right on the back of him. He's got the DRS, and is he going to breeze past Tope? We don't know. But again, it's going to be hard because I think it's going to be a similar situation, but the opposite way round. We saw Bunty go into the pits because he got damaged earlier on. Into turn 2, they're all staying behind as well. And we're seeing Cam closing in on Noah J as well. So he potentially could go for a move very, very soon, as we're seeing blue flags being lined out everywhere for the likes of Bunty and YHYY, I believe. But this is a good fight for the final podium spot between the 2 Williams drivers and the Aston Martin.
Yeah, it's a brilliant fight at the moment. You've got to say Luke is the faster of the 3 here, but being at the back of the DRS train can't really do anything. They're all out of ERS at this point in the race, so none of them really have an ERS advantage. I think Luke here is relying on the 2 Williams to fight each other, and then he can pick up the scraps if he can at the end of this race. Tope did make a little bit of a mistake throughout Minerale on the previous lap and let his teammate back through, so that is why Dowie's up into second place. RJ now nearly 3 seconds clear. It's over and done with. You've got to say for RJ, he's just got to make sure he gets those tyres to the end, which at the moment I think he should be safe. So RJ, just 1 lap to go for the McLaren man. It will be back-to-back wins at Imola for the McLaren man. This time round, though, in very different circumstances, with a brilliant drive from, I think, 6th on the grid up to the win of the race. Around the final corner they come, and look at that. Tope does have DRS, but he's well off the back of his teammate. Great opportunity here for Luke to steal that final spot on the podium. He's looking left, he's looking right. He's got no straight line speed to try and get past. He's going to have to go the long way round. Tope's leaving him just enough space, but nothing there that J-Luke could do. He's going to have to think about the run to Villeneuve here. Is he going to go around the outside of the third part of Tamburello? There's no space there. That was never going to work. It was worth a try from Luke, but just doesn't have the overspeed in the straight line to get the move done on the Williams man. The DRS there for Tope, just about saving him that time around. You've got to say, unless he makes a mistake, there's nowhere else for him to overtake.
I think good teamwork from the Williams drivers. I think if Tope didn't have the DRS from his teammate Dowie, I think Luke would have got past him easy. But yes, as we do have a yellow flag, that
Bunty.
is Bunty once again. I think Rex had a bit of a moment as well. But yeah, I think the star of the show has got to be from RJ, but Dowie as well. He was on pole, but to be fair, he's showing that he's not just a quality merchant, he's a race merchant as well. So I have to say, one of his best performances in Eloise as well. I kind of wish he would fight for the win a little bit more, but to be honest, a solid showing for him. But let's follow RJ as he goes through the final few corners.
Yeah, through the Ratsa then, the final corner, it's going to be back-to-back wins at Imola. He delivers on the promise. RJ wins the first round of the season in Division 3. What a brilliant drive from him. And it's a double Williams podium for Dowie and Tope at the end of proceedings as well. They were there all the time, but RJ just had the race pace on the 2 Williams today. Luke comes home in 4th. What could have been for him had he just got that move done on Tope? He could have been right up there, but 4th is the best he can manage. A solid drive, though, from the Aston Martin man. Camke does get 5th in the end at the end end of that race on penalties. Noah J holds on to 6th. Caesar in 7th, but under investigation for starting on the wrong compound of tyres after the restart. We'll keep an eye on that one. And then it's the AlphaTauris, what could have been for Brent in this race, running in 4th position, pitting with 9 laps to go for a fresh set of soft compound tyres in a very bizarre call when only finishing the race in 8th in the end. Matt's 9th and Passe rounds off the top 10. Knight and Rex will finish the points there in 11th and 12th, and it was, my, was it a race of attrition? It was a race of 2 halves and a real race of attrition in the end. Loads of big names retiring from the race. Old School before we even got to turn 1. Jayco out of the race as well. J-Luke out of the race. Marty out of the race from 2nd place in the race at that time. A lot of people retiring from that one in the end. It was an eventful night, an eventful first round of the season, you've got to say. If that's anything to go by for the rest of the season, got to say this season's going to be incredibly unpredictable. Let's run you through the grid, the finishing order then. It is RJ from 6th on the grid that wins the race. Darry in 2nd, Tope 3rd, Luke 4th and Cam K 5th, and it's Noah J, Caesar, Brent, Matt and Passe your top 10, Knight and Rex your final point scorers in the end. After a tumultuous evening for Rex, he does still manage to get a point in this race, so good to him.
Hey.
White Jawai in 13th, and Bunty, the last finisher, a lap down in 14th. Good on him for finishing the race, but he will unfortunately score no points. Knights gets an extra points for the fastest lap of the race in 11th. Then our retirees, J. Cole, Maverick, Reds, Marty, J. Luke and Old School, all retiring from the race in various different circumstances. All of them crashes, apart from Alt Maverick, who retired in the pit lane. Well, Jess, what a first round it was. It was, well, slow to get going in the end. Once it did get going, it was fairly eventful, you've got to say. And like I said, if that's anything to go by, it could be a completely different race next week. It's looking pretty unpredictable already.
It is worth the wait even after that lobby restart, and I have to say, I think there's a lot of people that started at the back and gained quite a lot of positions, like Caesar, Cam, for example, Matt starting at the back as well, and still managed to get some points in the end as well. So brilliant stuff from him, and it just shows you don't need to qualify well around this track to do well. So that's what RJ proved to us today, and he definitely deserved that victory. And where we are next week, we're at France next week for the second round of the season. Another race of attrition, I would say, but it's a track where there's less risk of retirements because there's less walls, there's more runoff areas to be fair, but should be another interesting race. But we may as well wrap up the stream because we both have races to go to now.
Yeah, we do, unfortunately. Yeah, so like we said, no interviews tonight, but great performance from RJ once again, and that is the first round of the season over and done with. Then RJ takes the lead of the championship going into the second round in France, which will be this time next week, 6:30, remember, and 8:10. Well, in about 10 minutes time, Division 2 and Division 5 will be starting. Cheer us and Jess on, please. We'd like to get some wins under the board ourselves as well. That would be great for a start of our seasons. And like we said, we'll be back this time next Saturday for round 2 of the season. Thank you, Jess, for joining me once again in the commentary box. Thank you to you guys for watching, and thanks to our drivers for putting on a great show. And we will see you this time next week. Take care. Goodbye.